Hi everyone, welcome to Crochet Rocks. My name's Tracy, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make this ribbed phone case. It is quite stretchy. It's made with a foundation treble and front post treble crochets. That's a UK term, so it's foundation double and front post double crochet in the US. So it's nice and sturdy. You might remember the previous one I made was quite had a lot of drape. It was quite a floppy one, but this one's quite sturdy. It is quite thick, but I think it looks really nice and keeps its shape well. Now these particular ones I've made for larger phones. I've got an iPhone 8, which is not a large phone. This one is a broken iPhone 7, which was quite a large, the bigger one, and that fits in there quite easy. This is an iPhone X, belonged to my son. It's quite a big phone, and that fits in to this one quite easily. Now, I did make this one slightly larger, but because it is stretchy, this phone does fit in there easily as well. It just kind of stretch around it. So you can use, I think I used, how many chain did I do for this one? I think it was 25, and for this one I did 28. So as it's for a large phone, I'm going to do the 28 this time, and I'm going to make it with this King Cole Glitz yarn that you might have seen on my tutorials before. I made a pair of fingerless gloves with this. It is very glitzy. I'm hoping it's going to show up really well. I'm going to use a 4mm crochet hook and a darning needle, and I have a pair of scissors handy. So if you haven't already, then please subscribe to my channel. There's a little thingamajig down here just to hit the subscription, and if you just hit that notification bell as well, you'll be informed when there are new tutorials. Do have a lot of live chats and all sorts of things. I've got quite a lot of giveaways that go on my channel, so check that out. There might be some at the moment. So to do this, I'm going to leave a fairly long tail because I'll use it to sew up. There'll be this little tiny bit here, kind of just a very small amount to sew up, and it just seems logical to leave a tail. So you do a slip knot however you normally would do it. I do have a tutorial on the slip knot and magic loop, magic ring. If you want to check those out beforehand, then please do. So once you've got your slip knot, we're going to make 2 chain, which is yarn over and pull through, and yarn over and pull through. Now we're only going to be doing 2. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit, so you might find it easier to see. So we're just doing the 2 because, pull my yarn out, this is the foundation treble crochet or foundation double, and we yarn over and we're going to go into that very first chain that we made, not the one on the hook, that doesn't count. That loop there is the first, and that one's our last. That was our first one, that was our second one, but from the hook we're going into the second one. But we're going to go into 2 loops. It's important that we go in to the 2 loops. You need to make sure that you can see the 2 loops on your hook, and the reason being the foundation row will be quite baggy if we don't go through both loops. So we're going to, that didn't quite look right. I think my yarn's getting in the way. There we go, because the tail's so big. So we're going to yarn over and we're pulling through just 1, and then I like to hold that one while I complete my treble crochet or double in the US. That's yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So now this here is the chain we've created. So we're going to go into that one and we're going to go through 2 loops. Make sure that you go through both of those loops, yarn over and pull through. So we've got 3 on our hook again, yarn over and pull through 1, hold on to it, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And we're just going to carry on like that until we've made 20, let me see, where's my piece of paper? I wrote it down. 28. We need 28 of these foundation treble crochets, and just ease that second loop over with your finger if you have to, because it does make all the difference if you go through the 2 loops in your first chain. You don't have to hold it, but I like to, because then I can see it very easily where it is. And sometimes when you're making it with yarn that's like this, it can be pretty difficult to see, or this one even, because each strand has white with it, so it can be hard to see. So I like to hold it, and then I can see exactly where it is, where I've done it. So we complete the stitch, go into that chain, through the 2 loops, and complete the stitch. So through the 2 loops, just gently push it on with your finger if you have to, fingernail, if you have any. Just pull my yarn back. So we go through 1, and then complete the stitch. So you see that stitch there looks a little baggy, and sometimes if you don't go through the 2 loops, then they'll all look like that. So it's important that you see that you've gone through the 2 of them. And we just carry on until we have 28. If your phone is a slimmer phone and you want to make 25, then that's fine. But as you saw with these 2, they're both made, one with the 25 and one with the 28, but they're not too dissimilar in size, because they really do scrunch together. But they both take both phones, but some people like a little bit more room, and some of the phones now are very large. They're like little mini tablets, some of them. I've never really had a huge phone. I think they're quite heavy to hold. Having said that, that quite large one there that was my son's phone's very light. It was a bit surprising. Gone through 2, yes. So we just carry on like this until we've, don't worry if they don't look completely uniform. It does tend to right itself when we do. That's not gone through 2. Can't really see it too well. Sorry, moving about. That's it, gone through 2 now. And just keep going until we have our right number. So I'm going to pop this video on hold. I'm going to pause it, and I will come back to you and go through 2, went through the stitch, and I will come back to you when we have the right number, and I'll show you exactly what it is we do next. Okay, so I've just counted them and I have my 28. Just zoom back out again. So now, this is how it's looking. We're going to bring this around, keep the tail at the bottom, and we're going to go slip stitch into that second chain. So the first one was here, that's the second one, and we're just going to slip stitch into that stitch to form the ring. And it has this gap, and that is what this nice long tail is for, to close that gap at the end. So don't worry if it looks a bit odd for now. We're going to chain 1, And now we're going to do the front post treble crochet or front post double in the US. So we're going to ignore this stitch here where we've just joined the 2 chains, and we're going to start with this stitch, which is our first. We're going to go around it. So we're going to go in behind the stitch and come back up. So we've gone through that stitch. Yarn over and pull through. So we've got 3 loops on our hook, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2, and we're going to do that to every single stitch along. So there, this stitch you can see. I'll just zoom in a little bit. So now this is the stitch we've just done, and we're going to go in next to that stitch, come out the other side, yarn over, 3 loops on our hook, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. I'm going to do that again. Go in and out the other side, yarn over, and then complete our stitch. And we're going to do that to every single stitch along until we get back to here. I'll show you one more time. Yarn over, in beside the stitch where the gap is, round the back and back through to the next gap, yarn over. So we've got 3 on our hook, yarn over through 2, yarn over through 2. One more time. Okay, so now I'm just going to pause this video and I will pick up with you again when I get round to here, and I'll show you what we do next. Okay, so I'm almost back. Got a couple more to do. So I'm just going to go into that one. And now this one is the very first one. So we're going to go through those and finish our stitch in the normal way. And now, to bring these 2 sides together, we want to go through these 2 chain. So we just go through there and make a stitch as normal. So we've now gone all the way around. So instead of, it does look a bit wonky, but it won't be, because at the end of the day we're going to pull this down. So that's fine. But instead of ending off or joining in with a slip stitch or anything like that, we're just going to keep going round. So we're going to go through our next stitch. Now I always find it easier just to go through like this. I hold my work like this and pull it up so that my finger shows me where the holes are, and I can just go round. But you can do this however is easiest for you. So we're going to do that in every stitch, and we're just going to keep going round, not ending off rows. We're just going to work in rounds until the actual body measures big enough to put our phone in. And how I do it, I just keep slotting my phone into it. I might need to unexpand this just a little bit so you can see. So yeah, just keep slotting my phone in to see if I'm there. And once I can put it in, and I know that once it's sewn up at the bottom, there'll still be a little bit above the phone, a little bit of my phone sock above the phone, then I know we've got the right height. You can edge it if you want to in a sort of fluffy yarn. I didn't go through the right bit there. Edge it in a fluffy yarn or a tinsel yarn, or just leave it plain. I quite like it plain. If I show you, it's got a nice edge to it. You can, once you've finished your length, you can choose whether you want the first row that you did to be the top, or whether you want to sew that up and have the top as the other end, but that's completely your preference. Once you're done, you'll be able to see which one you'd prefer. But we're not going to, as I say, we're not going to be working in rows in any way now. We're just going round and round in a spiral, and we're just going to keep going, doing these front post trebles, front post double crochet US, until we've made it as long as we need it to be. So I'm going to show you once more when I get to the end, because we're almost there, and then I'll pause the video and pick up with you again when we've got the length we need for our phone sock. I just find it easier to slot in like this rather than going through. On the first row, you really do need to kind of go through. Sometimes anyway, it doesn't always lend itself. So now we're back, and you can see that there's our join. And this is our stitch now, that side of the join, and this is our stitch, this side of the join. So when we finally finish our length, we need to make sure that our last stitch is this one here. And you can follow that line all the way up, but you need this one here to be our last stitch. It's the last one before the gap. And then, but for now we're just going over the gap and carrying on with our rounds. Just pretend they're not there and just carry on round and round. So I'm going to pull some yarn out. I'm going to pause the video, and I will catch up with you again once our phone sock measures large enough to put the phone in. So I'll put it on pause now, and I will see you once it's done. Okay, so here it is. We've got this. See, it looks quite slim now. It doesn't look like a big wide one at all, but it's, if you put the phone in, you can see it does fit quite nicely in the phone. And once we've got it in, there is clearance so that it's all completely enclosed. So now you just decide which end you're going to have the top and which end you're going to have as the bottom. So take the phone out. And I quite like this side here as the top. You can do it the other way around. I think with the other one, with this one, this is the bottom. You can tell because there's a longer lip, so you might want to do that then. If this is the bottom, mine just doesn't look like it's got a long lip anyway, but I kind of like this one, so I'm going to have this as the top. So what we do now, oops, is end off here. Bear with me just 1 second. I've got my phone's ringing. Sorry about that. So yeah, we're going to end off here, but we're going to leave a very, very long tail. I'm going to make my loop large because I don't want it to unravel. And now I'm going to turn this phone sock inside out and pull my yarn through. Doesn't matter about that too much. Excuse me. So now I'm going to insert my hook. Oh, I don't think I've ended right, have I? Didn't show you that. So this is the right side. So as you can see, it was on the right part. So it matched up with that part there. So that's fine. So now we just slip stitch into the very next stitch, and so that will end and it will be straight. So now we'll pull that into our corner, and what we're going to do is we're going to join this, and we're going to do it by just crocheting it together. So we want to go through What I like to do as well while I'm doing this is to pop my phone in. So I'm going to use this slimmer one for now. And if I pop the phone in, it helps to keep it wider. So that's just a little trick that I picked up, because obviously you're going to be securing it, but you don't want it tight. So then I'm just going to go in to the corresponding stitches either side and slip stitch them together and make sure the phone stays in and it stays nice and wide that way. Go through 2 stitches though, that's it, go through those 2 and those 2 and slip stitch it together. And you just do that. It's a bit of an odd angle for me trying to do it on camera, but just do that all the way along. And that's how you make your join. If you wanted to do it as a double crochet, then that would work, you know, just doing it like this, that would be fine. But I always slip stitch, makes less of a ridge. Not that you're ever going to see it, so if you wanted to do it the other way, that's perfectly okay. Oh, sorry, I was catching on my other piece of yarn there. So yeah, just do that all the way along, catching both sides equally, almost at an end, trying to keep in the camera. Just it's like sewing it together with your hook. Nearly done. I think that'll be it, the last bit. And then we just end off in the normal way and cinch that down. And then I will end this, but leave a nice little tail to sew it in. Just dispose of the other side. Okay, take my phone out. Now I'm going to close this gap, so we need the darning needle. And we're just going to sew these 2 ends together. So you want to find this little corner here and just sew it together. And then you can see there's the gap there. You just go, see, right, if you pull it apart, you can see the gap there. You just go either side of it, close that little gap. And 3 stitches usually is enough. Because we're on the wrong side, I will just make a little loop, go through it and pull it. It's made a little knot, and then I'll lose this along here like this. Because this is quite, you'll see these are ridges on the inside. It's one of the things that helps keep the phone sock tight, tight to the phone. And then I go back the other way, because I hate the idea of ends coming out. I go back the other way again, and then cut it off. Then we just need to get rid of this one, so this ending. The same way. Just go along, bury it in. Don't really want to bury in this. Got to remember though, it won't really show very much. Don't put it tight though. Don't want to tighten our ends. Went to the trouble of putting the phone in so it didn't tighten. So we don't want to make it tighter. And then just chop that off. And then we can pop it in the right way. And you need to tease out the corner of the bottom a little bit. There you go. So there we are. It's all done. We'll just pop a phone in, and it's perfect. See, it's quite tall, so because this phone's slightly smaller than this one. We'll put this one in. Bear with me a second. They've got these, this phone has quite sharp buttons that stick out, which isn't a particularly good one to show you with, but there you go, fits it nicely. So that's how you make it, and it's because it's nice and ribbed, it kind of stretches and then shrinks back and looks, I think it looks good in any colour yarn really, but I quite like the sparkly. And these ones from Poundland are really, really inexpensive, so can be made quite cheaply, and it's a nice little present, I think. So thanks for watching, and if you would, please like and share this video, and any of my videos. That would really help me grow this channel. And as I said before, if you haven't already, just please consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks very much, and bye bye for now.